Hey everybody, welcome back to Bible Fun with the Duns. Today we're in 2 Kings chapter 11 and 12, so let's get started.
We decided we get God extra credit for doing 2 chapters today. So yesterday it was an epic day, and today is no different.
Yeah.
But yesterday was Jehu killing all of King Ahab's family. And so that was what was going on in the northern kingdom. And so today when we go to chapter 11, we get to see what's happening in the south. So Ahaziah has died. He was the king. But what is important to remember is that his mama is Athaliah, the daughter of Ahab. And I think Jehu may have forgotten. I don't know. And so she is left here in the south, and she was queen mother, but now her son has died. She was married to Jehoram, who was the king, and he was from the good line. Jehoshaphat was his dad. Good King Asa was his grandpa. And but Jehoshaphat just really, really wanted to be aligned with Israel. And so he betrothed his son to one of Ahab's daughters, Athaliah. And so now here she is. Her son is no longer in power. And this queen mother, who is Jezebel's daughter, like mother, like daughter, really craves this power. And so what she does is the opposite of what Jehu does. And she goes after everyone from the line of David. And she wants to kill all of them. And she does. Except we see this woman named Jehosheba. And that's really all we get, other than she is married to the priest whose name is Jehoiada.
What's to do with all these J's?
I don't know, but we'll never run out of J names for our family line. All the boys in our family have J names. So Jehosheba, I know, but it was a thing for the boys. Yes, my name is Jenny. Okay. So it is also, and I'm thankful it's not Jehosheba. But anyway, Jehosheba is a hero here because there is one son, and he's one at this time, and his name is Joash, which is another family name that Daddy likes. And she takes him and she hides him because she knows Athaliah is killing all of the line of David. And remember the prophecy that's one of the most important prophecies of who God is going to send his Messiah through, who he's going to save the world through, the line of David. He made this promise with David that his family will never leave the throne. And so this is a really important point in history. And so Jehosheba hides Joash. All of these names are J's.
I can't keep up. And
she keeps him hidden. It's a miracle and it's God's providence. But she keeps him hidden for 6 years. And all I can think as I read that was that Athaliah, the evil queen mother, somehow stays in power for 6 years. And how terrible that must have been for the South. The South doesn't want these northern people ruling their area, much less Ahab's family. And so Athaliah is in power for 6 years, and it just makes me think of when we go through a difficult 4 years sometimes, when we don't love our leadership, it's got to be difficult. So we pick up from there. The next scene is the priest Jehoiada, who is Jehoshaba's husband, who was hiding Joash. Jehoiada, so Joash is 7 now. He goes and he sets it up, and he tells all the commanders, all the army people, and he says, hey, guess what? There's hope. And I can't help but think no one wants Athaliah to be in charge because all these people are immediately on board. And he's like, this is the final person from the line of David. I don't know how he introduced him, but the good line who reigned and, was to the roots of who Israel was as far as leading their country, seeking after God the way God intended. And so he tells all these people of the army, guard him, and we're going to go take care of Athaliah. And so they do. They go and they find Athaliah, and Athaliah hears them cheering, and they anointed him as king, and they made him king, and they're all, long live the king, and they're celebrating it. And Athaliah hears the celebration, and she's screaming treason, which is So ironic because she just took power by killing everyone. Like, that's exactly what she did. And so they go and they kill her. And it's like all of that and she's gone. And so they put her to death in verse 16. And then Jehoiada the priest makes a covenant between the Lord and the king and the people that they are going to follow Yahweh. They're back to their roots. They're back to the original plan that God had for his people. And so Joash, while he's under, this is an important caveat, while he's under the leadership of priest Jehoiada, because remember he's 7, he does need some guidance in decision making and stuff.
Nah, he's got it.
The priests basically have the power, and thankfully these are good godly priests. And they are guiding him to lead the nation, and they follow God. And so under Joash's reign, we continue on to the next scene in chapter 12, and Joash is in a good place spiritually as he follows Yahweh, and he wants to restore the temple. And so he's like, let's put all the money of the treasury towards restoring the temple. And then it wasn't happening fast enough, and different commentaries said different things, like maybe they were paying for the poor too much, or maybe, you know, it doesn't say that they mishandled funds, so we can't just assume that. But finally Joash was like, hey, pay for your food, because that's what took care of the priests, remember. But then all the money is going to restore this temple. We're going to put all our money towards that until it's done. And so they work to restore the temple. And then that happens. And then priest Jehoiada passes away. And Joash is about 30 years old when this happens. And he just kind of, his heart, he backslides. His heart kind of strays. He gets lukewarm, I guess is the best way. It's not like he was against God, but he doesn't seek Yahweh the way he did before when he was under the spiritual guidance of Jehoiada. And so it's kind of sad. Well, then the king of Syria, Hazael, at this time, remember, we're not in chronological order, unfortunately. So Hazael is here, and he is coming up against them, and Joash gets scared. And so what he does is he takes all the stuff from inside the temple, because it's valuable and it's made of gold and silver and bronze and all the important things, and he gives it, basically he's paying tribute to the king of Syria. Some translations say the king of Aram, and he pays him basically to not attack him. And so that's a sad thing, because the temple is now restored on the outside, but the inside, it's just a picture of like a whitewashed tomb. Those things that we read in the New Testament, how God compares the Pharisees, like they look good on the outside, but their inside is a hot mess. And Joash didn't have to do that. Like, he took matters into his own hands when he could have just trusted God instead of trusting in what he could do. And then we just get to the death of Joash. 2 Chronicles chapter 24 gives us a lot more detail in the life of Joash, but it's kind of sad to me to end that way, because he started out really good and strong and pointing people to God. Now, I know your takeaway comes from the treasury part. What was your take?
So kind of the whole deal that's happening here, like God's telling them, like, hey, like, pay for what you need, obviously, but also give the rest to me in rebuilding my temple. And so, like, you kind of look at that, and like it makes sense. Like, you got to do that. You got to do what God says. But a lot of times it's super hard, because like that's your hard-earned money, and like you need that money, right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, you just got to remember, like, everything you have is given to you by God. And so I was at a Bible study this morning, and we were talking about prayer, and we were going through Jesus' model prayer, and he says, give us this day our daily bread. And so what we kind of talked about that meant is like their daily bread is like their daily sustenance, and like what they need to make it through the day. Like, that's what God provided for them. So we got to remember, like, even though we think like we earned that money, like God still gave us everything that we needed to get that. And so we got to remember, give back to God what is God's, render to Caesar what is Caesar's, and the same goes with God. And this goes even farther beyond money, because like the Bible, a lot of times I think about the parable of the talents, and the master who gave his servants talents, and he wanted them to multiply them. and like we can't just like keep it for ourselves. We have to actually do something with it and give it to God. And so like more than just money, like everything we have in our life, it belongs to God. And so we just need to do our best with what He has, or what He's given us, and give it back to Him.
That's right. And I love, along those same lines, everything that He requires of us, it came from Him in the first place. He gives it to us so that we can give it back to Him. I have a couple of takeaways from this. The first thing is the kingdom impact that little old me can have. And this can be a negative impact. It can be a positive impact. I think of, Joash. I think he, hopefully, all in all, had a decently positive impact. I mean, he kept the line of David alive. I mean, not a lot in his own power, but that's part of what he did. But like maybe kind of a negative thing, Jehoshaphat, the whole reason that we're in this predicament with Athaliah is that he really wanted to be aligned with Israel. He was Judah, the south, but he really wanted to be aligned with Israel for some reason. And so because of this betrothal and he adding King Ahab's family into his own family line, that was a very dangerous thing, and it almost ended the line of David. And he was part of the line of David, and so that's kind of scary. But then the kingdom impact in a positive way, we look at Jehoshaphat and we look at Jehoiada, these random people, a priest and his wife, and the impact that they could have just by hiding a kid. And this isn't just like she risked her life to hide this child from the crazy queen. One of the commentaries I read said that Jehoshaphat, her heart for the Lord was greater than her fear of Athaliah. She almost single-handedly continues the line of David by, fearing the Lord more than she feared Athaliah. And so little old me, don't ever discount the impact that you can have. Just one act of obedience, one act of following what God tells you to do. Don't discount that. What?
Little old me don't ever discount the...
Little, you think, oh, I can't do... Little old me, I can't do anything. And then my second takeaway is that God's plan cannot be thwarted. This is a theme that I see all throughout Scripture, even when we get to, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but like the Nephilim, we see the enemy try to get rid of the line that Jesus is to come through, that God's plan to send the Messiah through. I'm getting tongue twisted. We see this, his plan to try to thwart God's plans all throughout Scripture. I mean, you can follow it all along the way. That's where we have the flood. It helps to get rid of them, but they keep returning. Maybe in Goliath's family. I mean, it's very, very interesting.
We're going to have to link some show notes now.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
But here, even in this story, like Athaliah, Ahab's family, it was the enemy's plan. Like another great reminder that our struggle is not just against flesh and bone, but it's against the rulers and the principalities and the evil forces of this world. And so, thankfully, God is always victorious and nothing can thwart his plans. Like, if it wasn't Jehoshaphat and Jehoiada, I have to keep looking because that is not a normal name. If it wasn't them, God would have used someone else. And so, like, I want to be the Jehoshaphat, except with my name. I want to be that person who's obedient to God. And so, what's God calling you to obey today? You may think it's just a little bitty thing, but it could have huge kingdom impact. All right, friends, thanks for joining us today. It was a little bit longer, but don't forget we had 2 chapters because he's going to make fun of me after this. We love you guys, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.